some of God's expectations. Today we want to take it a step further and talk to some of us that I call veteran Christians. Right? Some of us that have been Christians for a long time. God has expectations for us also. And so we're going to be looking at some identification marks of maturity in Christ. If I am mature in Christ, what does that look like? What should I be doing by now? And for those who are new Christians, you can look at what to shoot for in this lesson. At some point, we need to achieve a certain amount of maturity. Paul said, when I was a child, I did those things that a child did. When I became a man, I put away childish things. And there comes a point where we need to mature in the faith. If you think for a moment this lesson hasn't challenged me this week, you got another thing coming. It challenged me also. I had to examine myself. I don't get up here and play the hypocrite in front of these people. Where are you? Right? And that's what I'm asking you to do. Examine yourself. Because I have examined myself on this week. Now, when you look at Colossians chapter 1, verse 28, oftentimes God keeps it simple. We complicate that. God keeps it simple. You're either righteous or unrighteous. Amen. You're either faithful or you're not faithful. There's not a lot of room in between. Either we are mature in Christ or we're not mature in Christ. And so when we look at Colossians chapter 1, passages like this in verse 28, where the Bible says, "Him we preach, warning every man and teaching every man in all wisdom, that we may present every man," he says what? Perfect in Christ Jesus. Now, some people see that word and say, well, I'm not perfect. I'm sitting in the back. No, this word actually means mature in Christ. And so we ought to reach a point in our Christian walk where we have reached a status of maturity. We should be reaching for that. But also in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, if you go to 1 Corinthians chapter 13, beginning there, around the verse number 9, we just read some of this, for we know in part, we prophesy in part, but he said, but when that which is perfect has come, then that which is in part will be done away. And once again, when I was a child, I spoke as a child, I understood as a child, I thought as a child, but when I became a man, I put away childish things. And so for now we see in a mirror dimly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then I shall know, just as I also am known. And so he's telling us, going back there to verse number 10, when that talking about the perfect will of God, when the Bible is complete. But still, that's coming to that point of completion is what we're talking about there. But that word is used also in James chapter 1, verse number 25. What does James say there in James chapter 1, verse number 25? He said that he who looks into the what? Perfect law of liberty and continues in it is not a forgetful hearer, but a doer of the work. This one will be blessed in whatever he does. So all of us would like to be thought of as mature Christians. In fact, I don't think there's a Christian anywhere that doesn't want to be thought of as a person. When I look at that person, I think that's a mature Christian. And sometimes people can tell when a person is doing what they're supposed to be doing at this time and when they're not doing what they are supposed to be doing at this time. So is he really a mature Christian? Well, we need to take these things from God's point of view. Now, I can do a personal assessment myself, and then I'm all that in the bag of chips. I'm doing great. But God might size me up and say, you're falling short. So the standard I need to look at is Christ. When I look at Christ as a standard, then I understand that I have some growing to do. Now, our first point I want to make today, how do I know if I'm maturing in the faith? Well, when you go over to Hebrews chapter 5, we get some answers. There in Hebrews chapter 5, beginning there around verse number 12. The Hebrew writer says, for though by this time you ought to be teachers, you need someone to teach you again the first principles of the oracles of God, and you have come to need milk and not solid food. For everyone who partakes only of milk is unskilled in the word of righteousness, for he is a what? He is a babe. Okay? The solid food belongs to those who are of full age, that is, those who by reason of use have senses and exercise to discern both good and evil. So one mark, identification mark of maturity in a Christian is, can I discern between what's good and evil? Some people can't discern between what is good and what is evil. What is the problem? A lot of times in Isaiah chapter 5, Isaiah tells us, God tells us some of the problem through the prophet Isaiah. In Isaiah chapter 5, verse 20, God said, woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness, who put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. We ought to be able to tell. When you put something in, you blindfold needs to taste that. Brother, you ought to be able to tell if something's sweet or bitter. If I can't tell, that's a problem. If I can't tell darkness from light, there's a problem. And if I can't tell evil from what is righteous, that is a problem. Many in our society today fight for all kinds of causes. There's people with really good, sincere hearts. And they fight for causes. I was reading this week where they're trying to decriminalize homosexual conduct. In 71 countries, it's still illegal. And they're trying to decriminalize it now. And I was looking at how many people are fighting for this. In people's mind, they think they're fighting for the right thing. There's a lot of people that say, hey, I'm pro-choice. A woman can do whatever. Never mind you killing the babies. But a woman can do whatever she wants, whatever. And they fight for it. Because in their mind, they fight for what's right. So what is the problem? The problem is many people, conscience has not been trained by God. Hosea chapter 4 and verse number 6, God says our people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. My people don't know what truth is. They don't know the difference between what's right and wrong. And oftentimes it's because they're willfully ignorant. As a gospel preacher, I talk to people all the time. Talk to people all the time. You know what I get a lot of time? People say, well, you know what? I want to argue religion. Well, does it matter that you're in the right church? You know, the Bible talks about what? I don't want to hear this. Sometimes people are willfully ignorant, right? I don't want to talk about this. But your soul is so important. Where you spend eternity should be so important. You should want to talk about this above all things. Jesus said in John 8:31 and 32, to those Jews who believe, if you abide in my word, then you are my disciples indeed, and you will know the truth, and the truth will make you free. We can know what God's truth is. Many people have not been taught by God. In Luke chapter 6, you go over there to Luke chapter 6, beginning around verse number 40. What does Jesus say there? In Luke 6, beginning there around verse number 40, he says, the disciple is not above his teacher, but everyone who is perfectly what? Trained will be like his teacher. So if we are perfectly trained by God, we're going to do what God calls us to do. I see right now the counseling psychiatry business is booming. I went through a training program myself. I was educating the counseling field and that. And one of the questions I had sometimes for the professor, they were saying, hey, you know what? When you counsel people, what we want you to do is dig out what's in them and guide them to the answer. Folks, let me tell you something. I don't think the answer is in me to my dysfunctional problems. So when I came to God, I didn't have no answers. I need to shut up and listen to what God has to say about what's right or wrong. But when somebody say, if I got to pay you $125 an hour to bring something out of me, I don't need you. If it's in me. Well, folks, here's the problem. When we come to God, God wants us to empty ourselves so that He can fill us with His word. His idea of what's right and wrong. Not what's right in mine. What's right in my eyes got me in the worst trouble I could ever get in. We need to be taught by God. So why is this a problem? When we're talking about people who are not able to discern between good and evil. Even in some churches now, I hear people saying, we just don't know what the truth is. When I hear a person say that I used to think that was wrong, but now I just don't really feel that way anymore. Folks, that's an indication that I'm going in the wrong direction. Because the more I grow in Christ, I ought to know what's right and what's wrong. We ought to be sure about the facts of what is right and wrong. Point number two, a mature Christian strives to please God. What did Jesus say in John chapter 8, beginning around verse number 29? Jesus said, He who sent me is with me. The Father has not left me alone, for He said, I always do those things that please the Father. Can you say that? Can I say that every decision in my life, that I make it in a way that's pleasing to God? No. Many times we're not making decisions in compliance to God. But Jesus said, I always do what the Father tells me. In 2 Timothy chapter 2, beginning there around verse number 4, Paul said, no one engaged in warfare entangles himself with the affairs of this life, that he may please him who enlisted him as a soldier. Are you a soldier in the army of God? We ought to be looking to what pleases God as our military, speaking spiritually, leader. We should not seek to please men. We should seek, rather, to please God. A mature Christian does what it takes to please God. Now look at Galatians chapter 1 and verse 10, and let's see what the problem is oftentimes here. Paul said, for do I now persuade men or God? Or do I seek to please men? For if I still please men, I would not be the bondservant in Christ. Christian friends, I talked to people recently, and they're talking about a lot of the changes that are going on in the brotherhood, sometimes in different states, and people taking the Lord's name out the front of the building. In churches in Christ. All kinds of things are going. People are bringing in all kinds of strange things that are foreign to Bible teaching. And many times when these leaders are allowing these things to happen, what they're saying basically is that, well, we got to keep the people happy. Amen. Sometimes it's not possible to keep both God and man happy at the same time. And so we at the crossroads. Oftentimes in our lives, we need to make a decision. Am I going to go God's way or man's way? Because oftentimes the two does not seek out. Paul said, if I was still yet pleasing men, I would not be the servant of God. I've heard people say, well, I used to be a Bible thumper. Man, I used to tell people about Christ all the time, but I don't do that anymore because I know what men think. Well, that's not a sign of Christian maturity. That's a sign of going in the wrong direction. When I get to a point where I don't want to tell people about Christ anymore, that's a problem. But many believe today, we don't want to offend anybody. And so I just don't want to say those things that might offend people. I recall Revelation. What's going on? What's the problem? Revelation chapter 21 and verse number 8. What does Jesus start out saying? He said, the cowardice will have their place in the lake of fire. Now, why do you think all those sins begin with cowardice? Because cowardice is not pleasing to God. If I'm so afraid of you that I change the sermon, hey, from what God said to what you want, what did Jesus say? What did Jesus say I ought to do in Matthew 10:20? Don't fear those who can fire you, amen. Don't fear the one that just get rid of this body, but fear the person that is able to cast both body and soul in hell fire. Jesus said, if you love me, John 14:15, keep my commandments. See, my dedication to God is not proven when I try to please somebody else other than God. Pleasing God and keeping his commandments is a way to please God, is what I'm trying to say here. What's our next point? A mature Christian is not easily carried away by false teaching. A mature Christian recognizes things that are false and he confronts those things. I recall in Ephesians chapter 4, beginning around verse number 11, Brother Robert read this. We're going to take up some more. I know we read verse 13. Let's start back at verse 11 and read on through of Ephesians chapter 4, beginning around verse 11. And he himself gave some to be apostles, some prophets, some evangelists, and some pastors and teachers for the equipment of the saints, for the work of ministry, for the edifying of the body of Christ, till we all come to the unity of the faith and of the knowledge of the Son of God, to a what? What do we say that word means? A mature man, a perfect man, to the measure of the stature of the fullness of Christ. That we, here's our main verse, that we shall no longer be children, tossed to and fro, and carried away with every wind of doctrine by the trickery of men and the cunning craftiness and deceitful plotting. Some people, they allow people to beguile them and to deceive them. And a false teacher can walk into a church and just take over the church with false teaching. And the member sit right there and follow behind the false teacher. But a mature Christian is going to stand up against the teacher like, wait a minute. That's not in the Bible. What you're teaching is not the scripture. And so that presents a problem for me trying to please God. Do I need to find somewhere else to go? Or what needs to happen? But we need to get back to the teachings of God. A mature Christian does not take a relaxed attitude toward error. In fact, he opposes, she opposes and encourages sound preaching and will expose error and point it out when it is wrong. I recall Psalm 119, verse 104. If you want to turn over there to Psalms 119, verses 104. What does the Bible say? Through your precepts, I get understanding. He said, therefore, I hate every false thing. And somebody said today, you just can't be hating anything. That's not what the Bible teaches. There's some things we need to grow to hate. Sometimes immature Christians still loving sin. Still dwelling in it. But what does the Bible say in Romans chapter 12? Verse 9. It's all right to hate and get away from things that are evil. In verse 9, Paul says, Romans chapter 12, verse 9, he said, let love be without hypocrisy. Abhor what is evil and cling to that which is good. I ought to abhor. If I'm around somebody and they're doing wicked things, well, I ought to want to pull away from those things. You know, we challenged my little niece yesterday, Sandy and I, or her guardian, if anything happened to her parents, and so she's supposed to name me after a child. We studied every Saturday with her the Bible, and then she's just growing and learning the Bible, and we challenged her yesterday with some questions about, we talked about real life situations at school. You got your friends that are cussing and doing something wrong. What are you doing in those cases? According to the scriptures that we read. We talk about real life situations. And we talked about the fact that you ought to want to move away from those things that are not right. But you need to start training yourself now at a young age to stay away from those things that are wrong and cling to those things which are right. I recall a comment one preacher said that false teachers prey on immature. Have you ever noticed that? Have you ever noticed whenever you got a false teacher in a church, he always goes to the weakest members? He never comes to the strong, because the mature Christian, they're going to stand up to him. Or if the preacher caught up in some stuff he shouldn't be doing, some sin where he always goes to the weakest men and rally him on his side. But the strong Christians always oppose them. They say, we're not going to get involved in that activity. Galatians chapter 1, verse 8. Now we're going to look at this scripture this afternoon as we continue our study the Sabbath day. In Galatians 1, 8 and 9, Paul tells the people over there, he says that, well, first of all, he starts out telling them that he marvels that they are so soon removed from the gospel. But he tells them in verse 8 and 9, he says to them, but even if we, now this is an apostle, or an angel from heaven preach any other gospel to you, then what we have preached to you, let him be accursed. As we have said before, so now I say again, if anyone preaches any other gospel to you, other than that which we have received, let him be accursed. Basically, when preachers say sometimes, look, just do as I say, now don't question me. Throughout the years, and my wife will tell you this, throughout the years I've taught people the gospel, and I always tell them, if I ever come back 10 years from now and I say something other than what I'm telling you, let me be accursed. Okay. I hope that never happens. But if any man stand, let him take heed lest he fall. I've seen some strong Christians fall away. I hope to God it never happens. My point is simply this. Always teach them you need to learn how to rightly divide the word of truth. If I'm telling you something wrong, folks, I want to go to heaven too. I'm like Apollos, Acts chapter 18, verse 24 to 26. When Priscilla and Aquila came to Apollos, he didn't say, you know who I am? I'm Apollos. No, he allowed them to correct him, and he got up and taught the way more perfectly. Now, I'm telling them, yeah, I'm going up there, and now I'm going to Brother Drew and point out some things. Yeah, don't come to that I feel stuff. Show me some B-I-B-L-E, amen? Because I'm not a rookie. That's a boasting. But my point is, you have to rightly divide the word of truth. Come with that false teaching. Tell me I feel this. Show me in the scriptures where it's wrong, and I want to get on board. If I'm off, never tell anybody. Never told anybody. I never told. And just do whatever I say. You do whatever God tells you. And if I ever get off track, you follow what God told you. You don't follow what I say. Stay with the book. Amen. The next point, mature Christians are not easily moved by persecution. Sometimes, we have mature Christians. Christians who should be mature, and they're falling away because they're being challenged by friends and people like that, giving them a hard time. And they ought to be used to that by now. But sometimes even with preachers or leaders, sometimes as they get older, they go in the wrong direction because they don't want to disappoint certain people. But I recall in James chapter 1, verse 4 and 5, where James says that, but let patience have this perfect word, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing. So if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives to all liberally and without reproach, and it will be given to him. Now what's he telling us there about the suffering? Let's go back to the verse 3. Where did I say that? Verse 3. Let's just start back up there in verse 3. Verse 2, I'm sorry. My brother, count all joy. That's what I want. When you fall into the various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience. And then we go to verse 4 and 5. Sorry about that. But the point we're making is a mature Christian, he counts it all joy when he falls into various trials. He don't see those challenges as an opportunity to quit the Lord. He sees those as opportunities to grow in the Lord. And I'll tell you, I'll be the first to tell you, Sometimes when difficult times have come, in my life I've gotten discouraged. Sometimes we get discouraged. But as mature Christians, we must what? We must hang in there and be patient, amen, and hang in there. Also, what are some other passages there in 1 Peter that's going to help us out? In 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 6 and 7, what does the Bible say there? He says, in this you greatly rejoice, though now for a little while, it need be, you have been grieved by various trials, that the genuineness of us is now, the genuineness of your faith being much more precious than gold that perishes, though it is what? Tested by, you mean to tell me sometime I'm tested by fire? It's tested by fire, may be found to praise, honor, and glory in the revelation of Jesus Christ. What's he telling us? Well, keep reading in chapter 4 of the same book, 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 12 and 13. Sometimes this is a very difficult passage for us to read, but we got to look at this passage. What does it say? Beloved, do not think it's strange. See, don't be shocked. He said, don't get shocked now. Lord. Don't think it's strange concerning the fiery trial, which is to try you as though some strange thing happened to you. Look, I can't believe this happened to you. You know, I talked to a preacher friend of mine a few weeks ago. He's still bringing up some stuff, man. I can't believe this happened. I can't believe. Well, what are we teaching people, man? We're teaching people when they go through these hard times, you're ready for the Lord. Amen. I mean, he's going through a difficult time and all that in life. But my point is, but rejoice to the extent that you partake of Christ's suffering, that when his glory is revealed, you may also be glad with exceeding joy. And all I'm saying is, sometimes we go through difficult times in our lives. We go through hardships. And even those of us who have been Christians for a while, we go through difficult times. But there ought to come a point in our lives when we recognize that these hard times, you got an adversary that go up to God. I can show you in the Bible where he asked God for righteous people. Let me get so-and-so. Let me get him. And we said about Job, you got him hands in there, you move out the way. And let me do something to him. When I'm done, he's going to curse you to your face. What's the revelation? What did Jesus say in Revelation? He stands before God day and night accusing us of things. He wants to take you out. But the suffering and things that we endure is for a purpose. A mature Christian will receive criticism. Here's another point. And reproof without being moved. Am I the only one who correct myself? I tell you, you know what? Wait a minute, you know you shouldn't be thinking that. Now stop it. Don't talk to yourself. And you should be doing that. A man cut me off in the traffic, give me some weird finger things and all that. And I'm mad. I have to tell myself sometimes. The old rule, we don't want him back here. Let that go. Sometimes we need to get on ourselves. But a mature Christian, he does not resent criticism. He's able to withstand some correction. Immature Christian, you can't tell them much of anything, even when they're wrong. I don't think that I'm above correction. I don't know about you. I'm not a two-time. My wife has had to get me. Now you know better than that. Amen. All right, we help each other. Keep each other straight. Amen. I mess up more. I think I mess up more than her. But go over there to Proverbs chapter 9 and look at what happens with the mature Christian. And Proverbs chapter 9, verse 8 and 9. The Bible says, do not correct a scoffer, lest he hate you. Rebuke a wise man. And what he going to do? He will what? He will love you. Give instruction to a wise man, and he will still be what? Wiser. He's going to be wiser. Is that what the Bible says? Teach a just man, and he will increase in learning. There's some people sometimes think that they are above correction. I know some people who think it's their job. They think God put them here just to correct everybody that's wrong. But if they doing something they ain't got no business doing, you can't tell me. Well, you don't think you're perfect, do you? What am I trying to say? A mature Christian recognizes that life consists of both positives and negatives, pleasures and pain. It's a balance to life. There is life, but there is death. There is times of joy, there are times of sorrow. This is all a part of life. And when a person feels that the only time that I can feel good about myself and when somebody constantly is correcting me, are just saying good things about me all the time. That's it. But I don't want anybody to criticize. But there comes a time, yes, the compliments are good. And we need to edify and build one another up. But there comes a time when we need to hear the truth. And a mature Christian will tell the truth. I got a good friend, a preacher friend in California. We've been friends for 27 years. And boy, we've got on each other's nerves over the years. But we have an arrangement. I don't want no yes man. When I call you, get me. Okay? Because I want to go to heaven. And there's a few times he told me, you wrong about that. But you know what? I keep it in my life. You see, some people surround themselves with yes men. All they want to hear is how I'm doing good. Now, let me tell you why I'm telling you that. Because it's very big in our society today. Now, I know some people took political correctness to a whole new level. Some things people shouldn't be saying about people. I understand that. Sometimes people just feel like I don't want to hear no correct. Don't tell me I'm wrong about anything. Don't point out anything I'm doing wrong. Everything must be right with me. My old mentor used to tell me, in order to get out of this parking lot, you need both the positive and the negative on your battery report to get out of the parking lot. Life consists of both positives. Also, life consists of a balance sometimes of hearing things that I don't want to hear about the things that I need to change. And a mature Christian understands that. Let me tell you something a lot of people miss here. In Jeremiah, go over to Jeremiah chapter 1 in verse number 10. And I'm not just promoting negativeness, I'm just keeping it real. In Jeremiah chapter 1 and verse number 10, what does Paul tell Jeremiah? What does God tell Jeremiah? See, I have this day set you over the nations and over the kingdoms to what? Root out, to pull down, to destroy, and to throw down. Now that's four negatives. But to build and to plant. He tells him to do some things, but some of the things we would count as negative things. But the bottom line is life consists of both. And the mature Christian understands that to be the case. The next point we want to look at is that the mature Christian strives to perfect faith and hope. I can see right now I'm not going to get through all these today. I'll do a part 2. I'm going to have to do a part 2 on this next week. So bear with me here. Let me get one more of these points out of the way. The mature Christian strives to perfect faith and holiness. So if I'm looking at myself and I'm thinking, am I where I need to be? Well, am I able to discern between good and evil? Because if that's not the case, I need to go back to the drawing board and get that straight. There are some things, there are marks there that must be there if I have achieved a level of maturity. But the mature Christian strive to perfect faith and holiness. I recall there in 1 Thessalonians chapter 3. But let me say something before I go to the next point. You know, I'll tell you, you guys, my wife and I talk about, we just love y'all. Y'all just some good people. We just love you. And I'm not telling you the truth. You know, straight from the heart. And I just love the way that people stood up and confessed themselves. Going back to this other point I made about admitting you're wrong. You're talking about a sign of Christian maturity. And when a person stands and says, I've sinned, that takes courage. Because many times, some of us need to stand up, we don't stand up. We don't appreciate those people who admit that they have faults and they're working through those faults. And then I wanted to mention that while we were on that point. But then the mature Christians strive to perfect faith and holiness. He's what? He's to grow in faith. In 1 Thessalonians, First Thessalonians chapter 3, I believe. Let me show them in a verse right place here. Yes, 1 Thessalonians chapter 3, verse number 10. Paul said that starting verse 9, for what God thanks can we render to God for you with all the joy with which we rejoice for your sake, before our God night and day, praying exceedingly that we may see your face and perfect what is lacking in your faith. And so here we see that people were trying to grow in their faith. I should not be content with my faith where it is forever. I should be trying to grow as a mature Christian in my faith. And there's a lot of things I love about my wife. Let me tell you something. And I was talking to her about this recently and telling her I really appreciate this. Every time she said every week she's doing something new. She's always doing something. I said, what's this? Oh, it's a study I'm doing. I got these from World Video Bible School. She's always studying. She's married to a minister. But the stuff she studies on her own is a personal growth. She just say, I'm trying to grow in this. But she's always got a side project where she's trying to increase in her faith. I appreciate that. And I would like to hope if I had kids that would do that. And I hope she continues this after my demise. After I'm gone, amen. But we need to be what? We need to be what? Growing in our faith. And we need to ask ourselves every day and every week, am I doing something to make sure that I'm growing in my faith? Am I reading my Bible more? Am I praying? I'm a mature Christian. He grows in prayer. He prayed more than he did 10 years ago. And mature Christians, they grow in their Bible reading. We should be growing in the faith. But also, mature Christians strive to perfect faith. But not only faith, they strive to perfect holiness. When you go to 2 Corinthians chapter 7 and verse number 1, I'll come to a close after this. 2 Corinthians chapter 7 and verse number 1. The Bible says, therefore, having these promises, beloved, let us cleanse ourselves from all filthiness of the flesh and spirit, perfecting holiness in the fear of God. I need to be perfecting holiness. What does that mean? I need to be bringing my state of holiness to a mature state. I should be more holy now than I was a year ago. We need to be growing in our faith and also perfecting more our holiness. I'll tell you something, and I'm not trying to be rude here. I'll tell it like it is. Tell it like yes, yeah, say it like it is. You know, we are Christians. We've been around for a while. We ought to be beyond going to the casinos. Amen. Mature Christians don't use profanity. Mature Christians don't use the toilet. Mature Christians no longer go out to the nightclub. And I tell you something else. You don't need nobody to watch you when you're a mature Christian. If somebody go out of town, I know nobody know me in the Bahamas. Nobody know me out here. I go to the nightclub when I'm in the Bahamas. Amen. Well, we need to keep ourselves accountable. A mature Christian don't need a watchman on them. They understand there is a watchman who is always watching them. What is he talking about? On determining, here's something, and I told you this. Here's something that Brother Riggs said. He said on determining her dress, one young lady said she watched what the most mature godly women wore and a woman asked. She said, I don't know what to wear, but she would go to church and watch the mature godly women. She noticed they didn't have the low-cut blouses and the shorts. She saw the mature women don't dress like that. And she started dressing. Sometimes you got men, a grown man, walking around like the boys. The earrings still here, amen. Pants sagging out. Old man, pants, he got to read something. reached the stage of holiness. Is that happening in your life? I'm telling you, I challenge myself this week. I ask myself, where are you? Where are you? Don't lie. Where are you really? I'm asking you to challenge yourself because I have myself. Are you where you need to be? How can you reach that point to get there? That's what we're talking about in this lesson. But you need to get started. You know, a good place to start is to obey the gospel of Jesus Christ. The Bible says faith come by hearing and hearing by the word of God. You must believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of the living God. But Jesus said himself in John 8:21 and 24, unless you believe that I am he, you will die in your sin. I'm telling you, God planned salvation, not me. Jesus said with his own mouth, I tell you, man, unless you repent, you shall all likewise perish. Luke 13:3. You must confess me, Jesus said, with your mouth to be the Son of God, Matthew 10:32 and 33. And friend, if the Bible stopped there, so would I. But he goes on to say, unless a man is born of water and spirit, he cannot enter the kingdom of God. There it was in Acts chapter 10 and verse 47. Peter said, who can forbid water that these should not be baptized? And in verse 48, he commanded them to be baptized. It's not optional. It's something that the saved Christian, if a person is wanting to be saved, something he has to do. It's not something that is optional. You can be baptized into Christ today. Perhaps you've already done it. Perhaps you're challenged by this message that you're asking yourself, you know what? I know I ain't where I need to be. Do what these courageous people did before we started the service. Stand up and say, Lord, I've sinned. I want to come back to you and straighten up my life. Whatever it may be. Let's make it on and stand and sing the song.